Hello, and welcome to Hacking the Grepson in the year 2026. Matt is not with us today, so it's just going to be me, Mike, welcoming you to the new year. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. This is a podcast about programming and development and problem solving, I guess. Seeing as how I'm currently the in-house musician of this podcast, though, and because Matt is not here this week, I get to do something a little different to start the year off, and that is a clip show. And by that, I mean, I'm going to play you some music that I've made over the past, because not only am I a recording artist in the award-winning, all-beloved Hacking the Grepson podcast, I'm also the editor. And that means that I get to listen to the podcast as it happens in real time, and I also get to listen to it at 2 times speed when I'm editing it. And every once in a while, something that either Matt or I say really jumps out at me. And it doesn't happen often, only a handful of times in 100 plus episodes, but every now and then a word or phrase kind of hits me just right, and I'm like, that could turn into a song, that could turn into a music track, and I've done that a few times, and I'm going to play some of them for you. The first one that I made is from way back in 2022 or something like that. It was episode 19 where we talked about spaghetti code. That's basically the idea where if you don't think about organizing your code and you just kind of add variables and functions to one big file until you're done, it ends up looking like a mess of spaghetti as opposed to a nicely structured, layered lasagna. I don't know. Anyway, something that Matt said really just hit me the right way, and I made a little track for it. So here it is, episode 19, Spaghetti Code.
A large amount of unstructured code. A large amount of unstructured code. The spaghettification. And I frequently work in spaghetti code. A large amount of unstructured code. A large amount of unstructured code.
Wow, that was amazing, right? Okay, so the next song that I made was probably a year or so later. It was, I pulled the source material out of episode 41, Tech Taxonomy Redux. This was an episode where we were reading a blog post where somebody was writing about 3 terms to refer to work titles, like software engineer versus software developer versus architect, something like that. And we were talking about what we thought each of those terms meant and how they compared to this blog post. And at some point, Matt said a term that, as far as I'm concerned, comes from Dungeons and Dragons. It was a spell, a simple spell that you would cast as a level 1 wizard or sorcerer or something like that. And the way that he said it just was like, oh, that's rhythmic, that's musical, and I had to make something out of it. So here you go. Here's Prestidigitation from Hacking the Grepson, episode 41, Tech Taxonomy Redux.
Prestidigitation. I have people for that. Prestidigitation. When's the last time you cast that cantrip? Prestidigitation. I have people for that. Prestidigitation. When's the last time you cast that cantrip?
A really good question, honestly. When is the last time that you cast that cantrip? In case you've never heard of cantrip, cantrip is just another name for, a simple spell, basically. and was one of the kinds of things that you would know at the very beginning of a Dungeons and Dragons journey. I don't even remember where that came up in the episode. You'll just have to go back and listen to it if you haven't. Okay, the last one that I have to play for you is from episode 77, which was an episode called Dev Blogging, which is short for development blogging. This was like another year and change later. I think this was me saying something and stumbling over it, which, I do on occasion. I do it way more than you might think. I just edit it out. And the way I said it, when I was listening to it back in the editing booth, I was like, oh, I got to make something out of that. So I did. And here it is, Hacking the Grepson, episode 77, Dev Blogging.
So yeah, that's Dev Blogging. That's Dev. That's a So yeah, that's Dev Blogging. That's Dev. That's Dev. That's Dev. That's Dev. That's Dev. That's Dev Blogging. That's Dev. That's Dev Blogging. That's Dev Blogging.
Sometimes you just can't speak correctly, and it turns into a silly little song. And I think that about covers it for the efforts that I made so far. And until our next episode, where we will return to game development now that Advent of Code is over. But until we next speak with you, we now return you to your regularly scheduled lives already in progress.